This is the project I've been working on the last couple of weeks, and it's of course Noah's Ark. It's for my first grandson that's coming, or first grandchild period, that'll be coming in about another month. It's not my normal thing that I do, but I thought some of y'all might be interested in. There's a lot of different things that went into the processes of this. Some of it I just want to record so that I don't forget in case I make another one one day. But most of the images, you know, we downloaded those off of the internet and printed them out. And I have a Cricut maker, and I'll put that in the description of the video in case somebody's interested in that. But it allows you to cut things out really intricately. Like all of these little pieces were printed on photo paper and on just a regular Canon printer. You print them through the Cricut Maker, Cricut Design Space, and then when it comes out, it's inside of a box like this. And so the maker reads that box, and then it'll come along with a knife and cut them out. I didn't know about them until a couple of years ago, but anyway, that's really not what I was trying to talk about here. But anyway, so these are printed on photo paper. I tried printing them on regular white cardstock, and I didn't get as vivid of an image. This is matte photo paper, and that's what actually worked the best. It also is a really stiff paper. But then I wanted each one of them to have a finish on it, so it's a little bit more durable than just a photo paper. So I wanted to talk about putting a finish on all of these photos, and so I used this Krylon Max. It says crystal clear acrylic, and this is gloss, but I was actually using a matte, and I just picked up the wrong can to show you. But I didn't like the way that it came out. This is my final product right here, and this is the color it did. It's kind of a blue tinge to it. It lightens up the ink when you spray it on. So that was a bust. I didn't use that one. And then, so next I moved to using a semi-gloss polyurethane and the Minwax, and it worked quite a bit better. But what actually wound up being the best was this, which is a bullseye seal coat. And it's really just, if you look back here on the back, it's really just a wax-free clear shellac. And the nice thing about that is it dries really fast. And here's the difference between those two. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but I sprayed I did half of this with that sealer right there, seal coat, and then I sprayed the other half with the polyurethane, and the polyurethane kind of washed out the colors a little bit. Shellac actually made the colors deeper and richer, so I liked it quite a bit better. That's what I used, and on the little pieces like these little things right here and these, I just took a pair of tweezers and dipped them down in there, and then you could take them and lay them on a piece of paper and just sort of wipe them across there, and it would take the excess off, and then you could lay them on the paper, and when it dried, the shellac wouldn't stick to the paper. So that worked out really well. We then took all of the pieces, and we would take a brush, flip them over upside down on another piece of paper, and take a brush and paint glue on the back of them, hold them down with a toothpick so you could paint that on there, and then take them and just tap them on here down nice and tight. You had to kind of keep paying attention to make sure all the little pieces got stuck down. Now these other ones are on, to make it kind of more 3D, these other pieces are glued onto a piece of plywood, and this is some plywood. I got it at Lowe's, and it's got a really nice flat finish on it. It's a 1/4 inch plywood. The only problem with this was, and I'll I'll show you what kind of plywood this was. I like how flat it was and the nice finish on the top and the bottom, but it's not a solid core. So I thought it was, because when I bought it, I looked at the edges of the board and I didn't see any voids. So I thought it was solid core, but it's not. When I was cutting out some of these, some of them have holes in them. So I probably would find something a little bit better next time for that. So then I would just glue them onto the wood with something like this, which is an all-purpose spray adhesive. And if you spray it onto the the paper and then also spray it onto the wood, it'll be permanent when you get through. And then I just cut them out with a scroll saw, like you would normally do. We then sanded the edges, and then we glued it all on there. My daughter and I painted the backgrounds with just some latex paint, and then this is just some white acrylic that my daughter put the clouds in there with. One thing I wish I had done that I had thought about before was, because I would like to put, once I got everything glued on, I'd like to put a clear finish over the top, but I don't want to spray this on there because I didn't like the way it dealt with the colors. And I came back and I thought, well, maybe the shellac will have set the color, but after I had some that I had put shellac on, it was one of these dolphins, that's why I'm pointing at it. And so it had been shellacked, and I came back and sprayed it with this, and it still lightened up the colors. So I didn't like it near as well. But anyway, what I'm trying to get to is what I wish I had done was, after this latex paint had dried, I wish I had covered it with the shellac, because then what that would have allowed me to do, like say this little dove right here, what if this was all shellacked, I could have come back and just shellacked right over the top of it, and it would have blended in. Right now, if I did that, you would see where the shellac was different than the latex paint. And I don't feel like I can come in here with a brush and get around everything. It would, you know, take forever, and I think it would pool, and I would just ruin it. So at this point, I'm just going to leave it be at that. Now, the ark was made up of that same plywood, and this is actually, let me tip it up a little bit so you can kind of see. It's kind of three-dimensional with the way things are kind of stacked in there. And then I put a couple of strips of wood on the back to stiffen it a little bit too. So this is built up out of that same plywood, and then the finish just comes from an amber, or what we used to call orange shellac, which I really like that type of a finish. And then of course, like I said, all this was just glued on there. We arranged it and then we glued it all on there, and that was the end of the project. This maker, I've been really pleased with it. It cuts things out really well. You can also make, you know, auto gaskets with it. If you just get an image, if you look online, there's some tutorials on how to make gaskets with the maker. If you do that kind of work, it may be something that would really be worth your while, because you can actually just take a picture of what you need a gasket on and import that into the software. And you have to do a little bit of work to it, but then it'll cut that gasket out for you. All right, well, I hope that was somewhat interesting to you. Thank you for watching.